you love, covering all things professional wrestling. A show by members of the Busted Open Nation. Welcome to the Nation's Corner. Here are your hosts, the Nation's Corner crew.
Too late, I did it.
Oh my God.
Yes, off the rails.
I can't
Ready.
even say my intro.
Sorry. Yes. Unsupervised.
Anywho,
Fucking
welcome to Nation's Corner. 7 p.m. on a Saturday. How y'all doing?
We're live, pal.
I can't believe that.
I can.
Anywho, are you done yet? Are you there? Are you done yet? You're muted. You muted yourself.
I did mute myself. Who wants to hear me cough?
Why
Cheers,
did
everybody.
we could have did the whole show this way. Why did you?
Jesus. Anywho,
How we doing?
How we doing? How we doing?
How are
My
we doing?
My week was not too shabby. Pretty easy week for me, if I say so. And got a bunch of good wrestling this week, and I'm ready to talk about it.
Cool.
I had a great week. I had a week of course, seeing my grandbaby, and loved that little boy. And
Yes.
he's just
Yes.
I got something
changing.
cool I want to bring up real quick.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wrestling
shoot.
show. Shout out to our very own Deb.
Other way.
Deb,
There you go.
who has paid off her student loan. She is free of that burden.
Yes.
So what? We're at hookers and cocaine now with that extra money, Deb? Or
There you go. Hey, there's a message
something
out
like
there
that.
for people.
frivolous
Something
expenses?
like that.
Okay.
There's a message out there for people. You pay for your loans. You know, your loan. You know, it's like any other thing.
I was in a very lucky situation, very different than, unfortunately, most people who have student loans, that my student loans were not that much, just because I went to college the absolute cheapest way possible. But yes, 13 years
Same
after
results
college
though, right?
graduation.
Same results though, right? Same results.
Well,
You got
I
a
didn't get
degree.
a job with, I got a degree. I got the paper.
There you go.
My current job doesn't reflect that, but I got the paper. So
I
there's that.
avoided all that noise by not going to college. But it still worked out well. Anywho, shout out
Yeah,
to
there were some people that
Happy for you.
were able to get some forgiveness. There were specific criteria. Unfortunately, I was too old to meet the criteria. Like by the time that came out, I only had $1,000 left to pay on it. So, and I didn't qualify I didn't qualify.
Aren't you our baby of the group?
So,
Aren't you our baby of the group?
Yeah.
Well, you're not too old to rock and roll, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So for those who don't know, I do have a degree in psychology. Unfortunately, that field is extremely high demanding for extremely medium pay. So I chose not to pursue it further.
Or as they say, mid.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Very, very, very high stress jobs, very demanding jobs for, not much pay. So yeah, it is what it is, but I have a degree. So yeah, I paid off my student loans. It's a very wonderful feeling. For anybody else out there who has had that feeling of making your last student loan payment and going, it's done.
You know what? It's
paying
anything.
This every month.
It's anything. Like me and Jackie are looking forward to paying off our house is paid off, but the loan we consolidated, that's almost paid off. You know, that's paid off in a few years, and then that's it. And it's the same thing. Like when I paid off my car, and then I was like, "Wow, that's done."
Mm-hmm.
Anything,
right. It's a good feeling.
Any credit payment paid off. You know, like John, when you finally pay off your bookie, you know, it's something off your shoulders. You don't have to worry about.
Tough. It wasn't.
You don't have to worry about Rocky coming to break your thumbs.
Right, and it wasn't the note. It was the vig I had to come up with. So that was the bitch.
The $100 you lost, that's easy. You can pay that right out of your pocket, but it's the $2,000 vig. Like what?
Right.
You did the math, and it just doesn't figure out that way till it does.
But it's paid off, so that's all I care about.
Yeah.
I don't have to.
All right. Well, let's get into some wrestling. We had Crown Jewel earlier this afternoon. We weren't planning on really talking about it in a deep dive just because I know I for one only was able to catch some clips on Twitter and kind of got the gist of the big stuff that happened. Mongrovian spent the day with his grandbaby, so he wasn't really able to watch any of it.
I was into that,
yes.
I did watch it, but I also noticed there was a metric shit ton of reactionary and post Crown Jewel comments and shows and dissecting.
I'm sorry, Brooke just Brooke just popped the fuck out of me.
She is my daughter. What can I say? You expect anything less?
That is a chip off the old block, man. Wow. Oh wow.
And you guys have all met her. So you all know.
I haven't personally met her, but
so you weren't there.
I hear her lovely voice from now and then, and John reports everything that goes on in Brooke's life.
She's one kid. What can I tell you?
That he's proud of.
Oh my god. Yeah, so John, for you, since you were able to see it, what was your biggest takeaway of what happened? Like the biggest thing that everybody's going to be talking about?
It has to be actually being the continuation of, and now seemingly a new wrinkle yet again in the Bloodline story. You had Sami Zayn show up at the end of the match. I don't want to give spoilers away, but fuck them. New Bloodline wins, Solo pins Roman, and a massive beatdown and melee ensues afterwards, blah, blah, blah. Sami Zayn comes down, goes to give a haluva kick to Solo. Solo ducks out of the way and hits Roman square in the mush with a haluva kick. So now we had that thing, especially coming back off of Raw, where we saw Sammy and Solo talking, and they even brought that a little bit, because when Sammy came down to the ring, none of the new Bloodline, Solo backed them off. He was like, no, don't touch him, and all that. And then Solo went to give him a hug, and Sammy goes in to give the hug. The crowd's like, oh no. Sammy gives them an exploder suplex, and then from there it was on. But
so let me ask you this. So I saw the clip of after Solo had walked away, and then Sammy was starting to walk away. The expression on Sammy's face and the expression on Roman's face. To me, there seemed to be some sort of conflicted, we weren't sure what was happening there. What was your thoughts on that, the way that they ended that segment as Sammy was walking away?
On one thing, yes, both of them had these very confused look on their faces, and Sammy was part of him was like, oh man, I really didn't mean to do that, but then there was this look in his eye yeah, I did mean to do this. After all you did to me, you deserved it. You deserved to get my foot planted firmly in your face. So, I know Sammy conceivably is trying to do the right thing and be the better person in all this, but you can't overlook the fact of what has happened in the past. And I said it on Zoom earlier when we were watching it. Hey, get ready to get your honorary.
Kervin, GFY. That's what the show's about, you schmuck.
Yeah.
Fuck? What do you look for fucking shows that you want to talk about shit to? Just like leave, you damn troll.
Yeah.
F off.
No, we can fix
I
that.
don't know why people do that, but it is what it is.
Whatever. It's a stupid name too.
Yeah.
Anywho, let's keep talking some wrestling.
Yes, RASSLN. Anyway,
yeah. So yeah, I thought that was interesting as well. Like, I guess we'll find out, next week, like what, if that means that Sammy came out to assist in some way, but maybe he's not like feeling like he fully wants to join back with them. Maybe he needs to have a chat with Roman and say, listen, we've been through a lot, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Well, we're seeing that a lot now, where we have always been under the impression, especially with Roman at being the tribal chief, it's blind loyalty. You don't question. You don't go against what he says. And what we're seeing now is Roman having to kind of look back and say, well, wait a minute, I'm not the one. And then especially in SmackDown last night between Jimmy and Jay, we're equal or Raw. We're equals. We stand together, but not behind anybody. And you kind of saw that reaction in Roman in the beginning of the match, because Roman and Jimmy come out together as announced as the Bloodline. Then they had a separate entrance for Jay, and Jay did his full-on yeet entrance, starting way up in the crowd and working his way down. And they kept panning the camera to get the reaction from Roman when Roman was looking like, man, what's my cousin doing? This isn't, I got to wait for this guy to get down the ring to get this match started. I'm waiting on him. He had that kind of almost look of disgust on his face. Yeah. And it was a very interesting thing because there's still a lot of distrust in all of them. And even in Roman, because Roman's never been in this position before. He's been the leader. Everybody falls in line. And it's still tenuous at best. And now with Sammy being involved in it, and I would imagine this isn't just a one and done just to get Sammy on Saudi Arabia.
Oh, right.
Going forward. What it does do, though,
this definitely means something. Like we've learned every detail means something.
Yeah. RJ out there says, am I the only one that wants Sammy far away from the Bloodline storyline and get over more on his own without help from the Bloodline story? Yeah, I don't mind that, but you can see somewhere down the line where he's either for or against it,
Yeah.
I don't think
I do want Sammy as part of the storyline in some way or the other, even if it's not right now. Just because I feel like with Roman coming back, the Usos agreeing to come back with him, and with Roman being like a certain level of babyface in this situation, like all the stuff that the comedy gold that we got with Sami Zayn before, I feel like could be even better now with Roman being like more of the baby face. Like he can show that goofy side of him. I want to see that.
Yeah. And he's perfect because when he tries to get them all to pop, when he tries to get them to break and come out with the he's not feeling too oozy and shit like that. There's more of that down the line. So
yes,
you know what? Hey, we're just armchair quarterbacks right now. So we know that they have something lined up and it's going to be good.
Yeah. There's plenty of clips already out about everything that happened. One thing I do want to point out though is the Randy Orton Kevin Owens match, which technically was never was an actual match. They never rang the bell because they just acted and beat the hell out of each other. Shout out to Raw General Manager Scrap Daddy Adam Pearce and Raw and SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis, and especially Scrap Daddy for taking a stunner during the practice, and Nick Aldis wisely bailing out, saying, "Nah, I'm not getting involved in that." And
yeah, I saw that clip on Twitter. I was like, "Oh man, that's pretty great." They were kicking each other's ass all over the place. It looked like.
Yes. And in the post show, Jackie Redmond tries to do an interview with Kevin Owens, who is still visibly in pain and everything else from the beating, and he finally grunts and groans and gets himself upright, and then he scoots over and like taps the case and I'm like, "Here, come here, sit down and do it." And he's like, "Well, yeah, I did. I walked away from it, and well, wait, no, Randy didn't. He got carried out. So I don't know what to think at this point, but it was just a very interesting looking thing."
Yeah. Well, you know, with Nick Aldis, man, he's like, "No, man, I'll keep taking the bump free money. You know,
right.
I like the bump free. You know what? I'm pretty good on the stick, so I don't need to be taking any bumps or getting the hard way with anything. So that's it."
The thing I liked about that backstage with KO and Kathy Kelly is, he was saying how he was in pain, his ribs hurt, and she goes, "Why don't you go see a trainer?" And he's like, "I don't trust the trainers here. I don't trust anybody."
And then later on, Jackie Redmond said, and Kevin Owens did go see the trainers, in spite of what he said.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And how about KO and his impeccable choice of t-shirts?
Yes.
I know a lot of people have been pointing out that he's been wearing different Dusty t-shirts, and then today he was wearing a Cowboy Bob Orton t-shirt.
Well, when you're fighting the guy's son, you got to represent
Bob. Yeah, a legit vintage Cowboy Bob. Good for him.
He should have came out with his arm in the cast.
Yeah, I thought it was a very cool touch. Good for Kevin.
Oh my god.
Historian of the game, as they say.
Hey, listen, it was the same thing when Seth fought Cody, and then he came out wearing the polka dots.
True.
Hey, listen, you got to get in your opponent's head.
Yeah, exactly.
Counts. Everything matters.
Was there anything else that you guys wanted to mention about WWE, whether it was Raw or SmackDown or from Crown Jewel? Anything in particular before we move on?
The women's tag team fatal four-way for the women's titles. Very well done. Very entertaining match. Chelsea Green was their normal, hilarious self during the match. And I said this to you guys before we went on, but I don't care how much clothes or material they make the women put on. All 8 of those ladies in the match. Damn. And that's all I'm going to say. And my best Ron Simmons. Damn.
I think it's much improvement. In the beginning, they were just kind of wearing baggy t-shirts, just plain baggy t-shirts. And now they've got these, it's wrestling gear. It's regular wrestling gear, just full leotards. Yeah. And they look amazing. They look sexy. They look stylish. They, they look like superstars, which is one of the things that was lacking when they were just wearing t-shirts. Is they didn't look like superstars.
Yeah, John, I'm just gonna say that there's plenty of young kids there in Saudi, probably young men, not kids, teens. Yeah, it's like they ran across their mom's glamour magazine on the coffee table. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Reference
they're dealing with a lot of feelings they may have not felt before.
The Seinfeld references to Pop Neal out there. Giddy up.
Yeah. And one other thing, for once, I'm going to agree with John Bay.
John, holy cow, yes. Go ahead.
She is a future star already. I was very skeptical with her and Jakari Jackson being in the match and everything else. Lash is undoubtedly, she is the name to be watching the next 5 years.
John, we gotta go to NXT for 5 minutes, a few minutes, because a lot happened on that. But speaking of NXT, Lash Legend and I'm sorry, what's the other
Jakara Jackson,
yes.
Listen, Jackson
there is a reason why they got pulled up to be in there. And when you see these two young ladies there across the ring from the champs, then you could see why they have something going.
Yeah.
And, but rather than the same old, they're bringing up a lot of people. And there's a reason why they're brought up, because NXT, dude, is starting to get a little crowded there in the ladies department, but I mean just in general. I mean from all Ego, Ethan Page and Trick Williams and our very own Bully Ray and Ridge Holland, down to at the women. And if people want equal, I want equal with the women's matches and the men. There you got it right there in NXT, because I would say you get about 50% promos.
Actually, I would say
fights
lately
with the women
it's leaning more towards the women at this point.
Absolutely,
it's not
more times than not. Out of every show from the week, you will get a main event women's match in NXT on NXT.
Yeah. Speaking
I think we were talking about that on Zoom the other night, and it may have been Front Row that said, they've kind of got themselves, a little women's promotion going on there with, there's some men's matches too.
It really is. They had Mission Pro was their farm team.
Exactly. How many women came right from Mission Pro?
Maddie Rinkowski, now known as Ren Sinclair. Your new North American women's champion,
Fallon Henley.
Whatever. We don't know what it is. We got Cora Jade. We got our NXT women's champion,
Roxanne Perez,
formerly known as Roxy. We have, who's up on the main is Lacey Evans, who used to be somebody else back then, and not Lacey Evans. Zoe Stark. She was Lacey something. She had to change her name from Lacey.
Lacey Ryan was her name.
She was Lacey Ryan.
That's right. Yeah.
So that wasn't my brain. I was right. It was Lacey something.
All right.
But there's so many. We know we forgot some. John,
how about
probably rattle them all off.
But how about just speaking of this past week on NXT, they have a 8-woman tag set up. 10 women. Tag setup. And did you see the 10 women involved in that? You want to talk about the best in the business right now. Stack that against any roster anywhere. Those 10 women: Stephanie McCour, Julia, the newly arrived Zarya, aka Delta, Kalani Jordan, recently the NXT inaugural Women's North American Champion.
And may I say, definitely Rookie of the Year. I mean, that kid is amazing. Go ahead.
And the 5th person on that team, who? Oh, by the way, the former 2-time TNA Knockouts champion, the motherfucking juggernaut, Jordan Grace.
There you go.
Yes.
Okay, that's
exciting.
one drive.
That's
you had a Rhea Ripley signing, even though she got her ass kicked later on inside that nice Corvette.
Well,
but
allegedly.
I live in Raquel, but you got a Rhea Ripley sighting on NXT. The whole thing with Bully and now Trick Williams having a tag team match against Ridge Holland and Deb's favorite, All Ego Ethan Page. From where? What's that building? What, to make a big deal about
2300 Arena?
It's a fucking bingo hall in South Philadelphia.
Yeah,
it's a fucking bingo hall.
John, when you went there, did they even have an address on there, or did you just were told to go to the corner Swanson.
That's what it was. It was a Viking bingo hall in the corner.
That was it. It was like, look for the bingo sign. What's the address?
Yeah.
Just look for the bingo sign,
yeah.
asshole.
And then the little thing.
So speaking of that,
ECW Arena.
how funny was it when we were there during Mania weekend? How many people we heard going like, "This is it? This is the ECW Arena."
No.
People were expecting it to be like an arena. And
You
like,
know,
no,
I'm not gonna brag, but we have our very own resident freaking expert on ECW, who, by the way, I know for a fact has attended every single one of Dave and Tommy's top 10 ECW moments. He was there. That man on the WWE special on ECW, if you pause it correctly, he's the guy that takes a foot from Spike Dudley. So our very own Bully Ray from Busted Open threw Spike Dudley into our own Nation's Corner crew, John from South Jersey. Just look for the guy. Look for that face, that mug, but just add about 100 pounds, 150 pounds more. Like, in other words,
and about 20 years less.
When Spike Dudley hit you, it's like when you're outside and a moth flies into your face. That's what it felt like to him. So don't worry about him. He's still alive. His face looked like that before Spike Dudley hit it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Spike did not help improve my looks any. Damn him. Number of times I called him. But overall, this is, to me, is very cool. It's definitely a shift in WWE in general to give them this opportunity and this. I mean, granted, they've always had the ability to work the building anytime they wanted to book it, but the fact that they have made such a big deal of it, they have absolutely recognized the past and the legend and lore of that shitty bingo hall in South Philadelphia. Like Paul Heyman famously said in his Hall of Fame speech, where? Right down the road at the corner of Swanson and Rittner on the wrong side of the train tracks, called the ECW Arena. And I could go on for literally hours trying to explain it to you, and it would never do it enough justice or give you the feeling that was in that building during that time.
The cool thing is,
it's like when you see a shooting star. It's like when you see a shooting star, like you get that feeling, but it was fast. Like ECW was not around a long time.
No.
It was a comedy. It was a comedy.
So what I love is that, enough time has passed now that the nostalgia factor has kicked in, and we also now have a new younger generation of wrestling fans that wasn't around then. So they see the documentaries, they hear all the stories, but to them it's kind of like this mythical thing that because they weren't around back then to experience it or know what it was like at that time when it was happening. And like, so there was that guy that called in a Busted Open who he said he like runs a toy shop, and he said so many younger wrestling fans come in looking for ECW figures. Like there's a demand amongst younger people to get their hands on anything and everything ECW they can.
You've only experienced like ECW on the network.
Yeah.
See, so like
exactly.
Really like when you turn this show on, when you finally come across this show back in the day, and it just starts off like you're seeing some violent shit going on and this mob audience, and you're like, is this like a riot? Like, you're like, is it and I'm like, no, wait, that's a wrestling ring, but where's the wrestlers? Wait, they're out there, like, and all of a sudden people go through chairs, and all of a sudden, boom, you hear, you hear fucking White Zombie, and you're like, what the fuck is this? And then Jackie's going, that is annoying. What else thought that the audience is driving? And I go, and I love this shit. And I know next thing I know, I'm yelling EC dub, EC dub. I don't know what the hell I'm seeing, but it's just an hour of these friggin' crazy mofos cutting promos. And I'm gonna tell you, the first one I experienced, it was probably the second show, was Bubba's first promo for Bubba's first time with all of those Dudley guys. And I was like, who the hell are these guys? And then you see Sandman and you hear, and then I'm hearing Enter Sandman. And I go, this guy's smoking a cigarette with this
drinking
stick.
beers.
I didn't even know it was a kendo stick. I'm going, he's got this fucking broomstick and he's drinking and he's pulling beers out of his pants. I didn't know that they were Zubas then.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden I go, how many beers can he fit in that damn thing? And he's smoking a cigarette. And then he's cutting them, he's whacking them.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, there was nothing
you all
like
think
that.
John Moxley was originating getting bloody before you even get in the ring. Nah.
No, it's not yet.
Check it Sandman from 1995.
It inspired every other organization besides nobody. Like, hey, listen, Bully's made the point before. Nobody ever goes to WWE events and starts chanting WWE. Nobody ever does that.
Nope.
But look at how Hunter knew NXT.
Yeah.
NXT, EC dub, AE dub, GC dub, CZ dub.
Yeah.
Every single one of those.
It all started somewhere. And it was a shitty bingo hall in South Philadelphia. And the best way I can describe the overall experience was a quote that I read once. And I to this day, I cannot remember who said it, but it is so true. It was a shitty bingo hall full of misfits. And that place became a shrine. And those misfits became legends. And that's basically what sums it up. There has been nothing in wrestling since or prior to them that literally shook the foundation and changed wrestling the way they did in that short amount of time. It wasn't even 10 years. It wasn't even 10 years that ECW was in existence.
It drove so many changes in the two bigger organizations at the time. Because who was the first that, when they stole somebody, bam, okay, they stole the hardcore guys, bam, okay, we're going Lucha. They stole the Lucha, bam, we're going, New Japan.
Where did Bischoff get the idea for a cruiserweight division?
Well, of course, I saw all of those guys down. ECW is where I first got to see Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio. That's where I got to see that. Dean Malenko and all of those great. That's the first place where I saw. Hey, listen, that's where I finally got to see the start of the evolvement of the character of Stone Cold Steve Austin. I was there for that. He didn't wrestle one bit. He just came on every week and cut promos.
He was still hurt. He was still hurt.
That's what I'm saying. What did he do? Come on. What was he on for a month?
Yeah, but the story's been told, but it's 100% true. Paul called him up and said, "Hey, I got TV time. Come cut a promo. No bumps. Just say what's on your mind."
Yeah, but he was there how long?
It was about a month.
A cup of coffee. Macho Man told Steamboat, like, that was it. He was there for a cup of coffee.
Yeah. But that's what it was.
It was enough.
Why? Because they worked together in WCW, and Steve Austin got screwed over by WCW just like Paul did.
And like we know, Mikey Whipwreck's finishing move. And and Sandman's drinking beer.
Yeah.
Couldn't smoke. All right. Kid product, but we drink beer.
Right.
Okay. Go ahead.
So let's switch topics here. Let's switch topics here. Let's switch gears over to AEW. We had an interesting week in AEW this week. I feel like a lot happened on Wednesday night. There's multiple stories going on that, especially this week's Dynamite,
they don't tell stories in AEW.
We'll get to that. So we've got an interesting thing happening with the Young Bucks here is what I want to go in on first. So the Young Bucks lose the tag team championships to Private Party, which I'm super happy for them. We met them at a meet and greet at the ECW arena last year. And when Mark Quinn was still injured, he hadn't returned yet. Super nice guys. They've put in the work. They've grinded. They've put in the work. So I'm happy that they got the tag team championships. So Young Bucks lose, and then so much happens with Mox, and like all this stuff is happening, and the Young Bucks are basically like, "I'm out. You guys are on your own.
We're out."
So John, what was your take on all that?
First of all, I agree with you. Private Party from going to being basically Matt Hardy's lackeys to now tag team champions, and yes, they have always been super entertaining in the ring, and even making the best of the. I didn't like the Private Party gimmick itself, but they made the best of it, and they're absolutely top notch in the ring. So that part, I'm very, very happy for them that they're getting this opportunity, and I think they're going to do very well as tag champs. But going back to that, now this whole Moxley and I just read the other day there is some sort of intellectual property copy right now on Death Riders by John Moxley.
Oh,
hint.
Okay, I like that because they're definitely not the BCC anymore.
Right,
like they can't go by that. They're definitely not the BCC.
I think that's a good move to kind of distance themselves from that. But what I don't understand is the Bucks went from losing the title to a kind of backstage interview with Marvez to them breaking in the locker room and they're shredding documents and stuff. And then next thing you know, they got their bags and they're leaving. I'm like, what?
So I feel like that's one of those things where, like, you know, a lot of the times in wrestling, we see in storylines certain things like that where you're like, all right, what just happened there? And you know, maybe we gotta wait a week or two or more to kind of get the explanation on things. How often does that happen in the Bloodline? Where there's little Easter eggs, there's something where like, wait, what was that? And then somewhere down the road, we figure it out. So the shredding documents was kind of an interesting wrinkle.
And the worst point out of all this is poor Brandon Cutler. What has Brandon Cutler ever done? For those
how's he gonna spray that stuff with his fingers?
He can't work the camera. I mean, those
he's got to wear that thing on his face. His face is crushed. His hand is crushed. I need to think.
Hey, poor Cutler. The abuse for that man never ends. Especially those of us who are old being the elite fans. Just that man's constantly
poor Brandon.
tortured. Poor Brandon, and all that. But the Moxley stuff especially has been very interesting. Just because there's a reason behind it, but seemingly no rhyme or reason behind it. It's
I
just
don't
like
even know
everybody's
it's chaos, and I love it.
Yes,
I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah,
and I want to say,
and that's often the best thing. Is sometimes the good stuff is so. Bray Wyatt, for instance, we never knew what the hell he was talking about.
Yeah, he's just like mumbling some David Koresh fucking,
But that's a great thing because now, absolutely, they have become must watch. Period.
Yeah,
and I have to say. Listen, people ragged on this poor woman. Marina Shafir is captivating.
She has found her fucking
niche. My god!
And I want to say they are portraying Marina Shafir the way they should be portraying.
Exactly. She is a killer. She's a badass. Like you see it in her eyes when she's on that screen. Like you're terrified of her, but she's also sexy.
And then you see Camille right off the bat in a fight, in a match with one of the other biggest, strongest women in AEW. Why did that have to end with her? Why did she get pinned? This is a woman that we watched on NWA for a whole year, not even say a single word, and just decimate guys twice her size. And now she comes in and she's losing. Oh, it's pissing me off. But let's go back to the
I know.
Young Bucks was
back
great.
to Mox. So I
just
want to point out this comment here from John Bay. And this is definitely one of those times where you need to have a little patience, dude. Like, let it play out. Just enjoy the ride. Let it play out. We've learned this so many times with wrestling storylines, especially over the last few years, that sometimes you just got to have patience and see where it goes.
Let's just say I didn't expect the debut of Camille to be this way. Let's just say that.
Yes.
So speaking of that, wow.
So speaking of that, there was a little teaser there that maybe she's starting to kind of get fed up with Mercedes. So I kind of wonder, like, yes, I agree that her coming to AEW so far has been a little lackluster, and they're just not very many people are happy with the way she's been presented. But I kind of wonder if this is leaning towards Camille turning on Mercedes. You know, she's had enough of her shit. She's turning on her, and then she's gonna come out and be a powerhouse and be that, domineering, juggernaut, to borrow the term.
Right.
I definitely see that this is where it's going, that it's leaning towards she's going to turn on Mercedes and she's going to look like an even bigger monster because of it.
Yeah, no amount of lifts in Mercedes boots is going to help her when she has to stand toe with it. And camera angles to make Mercedes look taller than she is.
I'm more than ecstatic that Camille signed a contract somewhere.
Yes.
And, I'm so happy for her. It was just the presentation is not what I expected it to be.
We've been a bit off,
but
yeah,
they did repackage and with the help, I'm sure, definitely with John Moxley, that Marina is like,
yes. We heard Mox saying on Bloodsport that he was working with Marina Shafir to kind of develop her character, and this is how he wanted to present her alongside him.
Well, we saw her when she even fought a Speedball Mike Bailey. So we've seen her in intergender matches in GCW.
Yeah,
we've seen her in Bloodsport just decimate people, and that we were like, oh my God, this is what we want to see in AEW, and now we're finally seeing the involvement of her, there, and that's awesome.
Oh, I think John froze for a second. And so with the AEW women's division, we have something interesting is happening here, and I don't know if a lot of people have seen it yet. So we haven't seen Toni Storm since she lost to Mariah May. We haven't seen her in AEW, that is, since she lost to Mariah May. And I know I've brought this up before, especially we were talking about it on Zoom the other night, that, in the old territory days, when a champion especially would lose, they might move on to another territory for a while, freshen up their character, be in front of a different audience for a while, and then make their return. That used to be very common back in the day. And I feel like that's what's happening here with Toni Storm. We haven't seen her since she lost to Mariah May. We know she's, made appearances in other promotions around the world, in Mexico, in Japan, in England. And there was an Easter egg on Wednesday. So I saw it on Twitter, and this is something that's kind of interesting to me. I think they're kind of borrowing some of the concept to the Wyatt Six stuff and kind of the teasers and Easter eggs that only a portion of the audience is going to get.
Yeah.
At Dynamite, I saw this circulate around at Twitter. At Dynamite, there was papers taped to each chair that looked like an old style newspaper. It said what happened to Toni Storm. And there was a QR code on it. And when you go to that QR code, it takes you to a video on AEW's YouTube that's an unlisted video. So you can't see the video if you just go to their YouTube and look through their uploaded videos. You can only get it through this link. So it's a video on AEW's YouTube it's only a minute and a half long, and it's like an old style newsreel talking about what happened to Toni Storm. Oh, she was seen here. She was seen here. What's going to happen next? And it's definitely seems like it's a teaser for, possibly her return to AEW, but I thought it was an interesting concept, kind of utilizing word of mouth and social media buzz to kind of put these little hints out there that for people who didn't see it, for people who, didn't look into it or anything like that, and, may not see the hints, but just like the Wyatt Six stuff, we poured over the QR codes and the links and all the Easter eggs and HTML codes and all that stuff. When we were looking that up on Zoom for the Wyatt Six, not everyone did that. So I know, like for Busted Open, Dave and Bully and some of the other hosts weren't, too into like looking up all these Easter eggs online and looking at webpage source codes and stuff. So for the people who did look up that, got some really awesome Easter eggs and really awesome hints towards something that might be coming up. So I think this is something similar. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I haven't seen the online thing, that the vignette that
I'll send
you're
it to
talking
you.
about. I got to check that out. But I'm definitely
I'll send it to you.
Like, she's been gone, so that she's evolving and developing her character to come back, like not the same way. Like I said in the beginning, I said she should come back in Technicolor or whatever now and just be like, evolved. She went from black or white to back in Technicolor or whatever, but she's still gonna, how can she evolve, still be, timeless Toni Storm, and you know what I mean? So
from what
like
it seems
said,
like from the video,
she's gonna be like,
it seems like
how like big stars, reinvent them, big time movie stars reinvented themselves for each decade or whatever. Or
that's exactly it. It seems like the character is evolving, like an old style movie star.
Exactly. She's gonna be like
the character does evolve.
Yeah, she's gonna be like MF, I'll be 70 years old and I'll be like Joan Collins then, or whatever. She'll be like, no, I got this shit. Don't,
Yeah.
And it's definitely got to be you definitely got to see Mariah May get her comeuppance, or whatever. Sorry about that word. That's a word old people use. Sorry.
I definitely
she's gonna get all up in her
that's
shit.
That's where it's gonna go when she does make her eventual return to AEW.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some. Oh, we got John back here.
Yeah.
There's
Come
there's
back,
gonna
Shane.
be. So when Toni Storm returns, there's gonna be some kind of, obviously she's got unfinished business with Mariah May. And, they can do a rematch or whatever. We'll see which way that they decide to take the storyline. But I have seen a lot on social media about the people who are involved in, helping shape these storylines. A lot of people seem to think that Tony Khan writes everything himself. And while, yes, he definitely, obviously has final say on everything, AEW has seemed to build a good team of people who are involved in certain storylines. We know that RJ is heavily involved in Toni Storm, Mariah May, and other stuff happening in the women's division. I heard that Will Washington, who is, kind of a well-known wrestling internet personality, that he's pretty involved behind the scenes with stuff in the women's division. So they do, they have a team of people there. I see it every week, people talking about it. We heard Deonna Purrazzo in interviews talking about it, that working with people who are helping write the storylines and stuff. So it's not just Tony Khan. People need to get that idea out of their heads that Tony Khan is creating everything by himself.
Well, just to jump in,
you could accuse them of maybe not filtering everything. But would that be better? That you're right. And like I said, sooner or later, the you know what, like they say on the wrestlers, that sooner or later that switch flips, the switch flips and they get it.
Yeah.
Well, the same thing goes for an owner, booker, promoter. I mean, it's a different thing from a boyhood dream and having the money and knowing a ton of wrestling. You know what? Hey, the best baseball players in the world, no matter what position, don't make the best managers.
True.
So,
very true.
So it's the same. It's the same way. So
right people in the right positions.
Curve. And I don't. And for the flip side, I'm tired of hearing people go, "Well, it was good when you said it's only been a year, 2 years, 3 years. That's 5 years. We're going into we're going into big money contract." Now's the time when all the cliches, the rubber hits the road, put on your big boy pants and whatever. All those stupid crap. Let's do it.
And I definitely see that.
I want success.
I definitely see that right now. I feel like they're hitting another gear. We still have a month. Now it's November, so we have a little less than a month now till Full Gear happens. So since the last pay-per-view till the next pay-per-view, they do actually have a good opportunity to have a pretty good build towards a pay-per-view, that it's not just 2 weeks and boom.
Yeah.
Let's do this like Brutus,
I definitely see that over the past few months or so. There's every week I've seen just little improvements. It's not going to happen overnight. The audience isn't going to come back full strength overnight. It's going to be a slow progression, but the progression is happening.
Let these women loose. Look what's going on. Look what's going on in NXT. And now let these women loose, because we know we got Statlander, we got Willow, we got Thunder, we got Deonna, we got, we got this one. Come on.
And Deonna and Taya have a team name now. They're what are they called? The Vendetta. The Vendetta. Yeah. I saw it on Twitter earlier. We didn't get a chance to watch Rampage last night.
Now, weren't they a tag team in Impact, John? Am I right or wrong?
I don't think they ever teamed. I don't, because
wait, who was the? Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm mixing up. Deonna and Chelsea were a tag team, and they both went to different brands. That's it. Sorry.
Yeah, but the women's division is getting better every week. There is improvements in the stories that are going on. Yeah. The people involved. We still are awaiting the returns of Sky Blue and Julia Hart.
And Britt.
And Britt.
I mean, you can say what you want about her, but you know what? She's a star, and she gets heat or whatever. She gets people want to know what's up with her, whether it's good or bad. Who cares? Yeah. They don't care.
She's very polarizing. We need her out there. Either love her,
I feel like
love her or hate her.
Well, we need her and Thunder to rebuild what they had, and they can do it. And I hope they finally come to an agreement and do something about that. In AEW, we get these two together again.
Yeah,
because we need that.
Yeah, I hope that they can get that done.
I have a quick comment on Dirty. I absolutely agree. But how about the whole division? How about Athena, Billy Starks, Lady Frost, Viva Van, Queen Amanada, but she's kind of up on the main roster now.
She's back and forth.
Hey, John, we talk about this. How about we find a way to promote ROH without having to defend ROH belts all the time on AEW. Find a way to integrate people to get them to go there. Maybe this is going to happen when they're on the new network. I would like to see
I think that's what they're working towards.
Show dedicated to one of the like WWE has NXT one night on channel. Let's have AEW put ROH and treat ROH like that at least. Even though in our mind we don't think it's that. We love ROH as it sits alone, but let's get more eyes on ROH and not force people to pay $10 a month. Let them pay $10 a month for the pay-per-views.
I think us three and like maybe 3 or 4 other people actually consistently watch Ring of Honor, and it's really good what they have going on there.
It is.
Yeah, they need to get more exposure for it. You have to give a reason. Right now, you have to give a reason for people to pay $10 a month for it.
Get an app. Get an app out there, Tony. I think you have enough product.
Well, there is an ROH app.
No. I mean, get something where you could just get everything for your AEW. Boom, boom, boom. You know.
Oh, well, everybody else outside of the US has that already. We just don't have it here because of stupid TV contracts.
I was thinking like maybe the WWE network kind of thing going on. You know, where you
outside of the US they have that.
Where you weren't stuck paying $60 for every pay-per-view. I mean, if you want to have that many pay-per-views, you're starting to add a pay-per-view every time I turn my head.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and they are working towards that.
I hope so. Because I love to watch. Yeah. As a matter of fact, sometimes I know people
we'll see what happens
sometimes
next year.
You get all the action of a pay-per-view in the regular Dynamite show. Why pay $50? You know, make us want to pay.
Yeah. So and with their new deal next year, apparently, they will be shown on Max. Max is one of the bigger streaming services. You know, obviously Netflix is kind of far surpassed all the other ones because Netflix is kind of the OG streaming service. But Max is pretty up there. That will definitely get a lot more potential viewers on the product.
Yeah,
I like that. And Max will let them stay edgy like they are. So
yes.
Well, Max should. It's not like they, Max ain't gonna complain the shit you see on that.
All of it is really for AEW in general as an organization from Tony Khan.
It's looking thumbs up for AEW.
But it's all growing pains. It's all growing pains that they're experiencing. And the one thing that they are seemingly starting to learn, and Tony Khan included, especially with this new television contract, is what worked for you 5 years ago. And I'm only talking about 5 years. What worked for you 5 years ago is already now outdated and dragging your exposure, your viewership down to where you have to do something. And it's growing pains because this is the first time they're doing any of this. They negotiated the first contract and exceeded everybody's expectations, but now the expectations are that much higher. Now that they have this big new contract, now they have to really start figuring out, okay, what do we have to do? And it's growing pains than anything else. And I have no doubt that they will keep it going and keep going with this momentum they have created. But
Bully makes the point about they should go to a small place like the Hammerstein. All right, well, I understand that is cost prohibitive. Tommy told us what that is, and you go a minute overtime, and it's the union double goes into triple time, whatever it is. All of these labor stipulations and stuff. But the point is, you don't have to go to New York City for something. You could do something else. Go somewhere else a little smaller and you don't have to go to New York City.
Right. And even but Mike to that point, and this is where I disagree with Bully. Tony Khan has proven time and time again he doesn't care how much it costs.
And that too, I said, you know what? He could pay the money for a special night in New York City.
Yes.
You know what? who knows if that would, it's sold, and it would definitely sell out, of course. And
right.
And I think it would be a ratings boost live from the heart of New York City.
Oh yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
In the shadows of New Jersey. That's what they could say. We're in the shadows of Jersey.
Speaking of ratings boost, before we end here, I just wanted to mention, we didn't get a chance to fully dive into this, but we all know Bobby Lashley debuted on Wednesday Night Dynamite, Fright Night Dynamite.
Yeah.
For those people who are interested in measurable data and numbers and stuff like that, what makes a measurable impact on AEW's YouTube page, looking through the video clips that they post, most of their video clips get 20,000 views, 30,000 views, 40,000 views, 50,000 views, things like that. Bobby Lashley's debut got 1.3 million views.
It's big news.
There you go.
And the video clip of Mox responding to Orange Cassidy got 568,000 views. So when most of their video clips on YouTube do, let's say 50,000 views, give or take, couple 10,000, two clips, one gets over 500,000 and one gets over 1 million. Those are two things of measurable data that you can say of what is making an impact on this show.
Yeah.
What are viewers interested in, and what is gaining them more viewers than normal.
You know what's making an impact is when we like something, and more, and in the past we've disagreed on certain products. It doesn't matter whether it's one company or the other. We've never all agreed 100%, except for maybe the Bloodline story. And I've even fallen off on the Wyatt 6 story as far as the horror aspect goes. You know how I feel about that, but I still love. I'm still giving it a shot. You know what I mean?
That was also something that I kind of wanted to mention also is on Raw and SmackDown. So the Bloodline story is obviously the biggest drive for most fans. That's the biggest thing that most fans want to see. When you say what was the biggest thing that happened on this show, it's whatever happened with the Bloodline. And I think secondarily, it's the Cody KO Orton stuff.
Yeah.
And then I feel like everything else is kind of just
they're still telling stories. You got Alpha Academy.
Yeah, not saying that.
American. But... you got your little, your whatever you want to call them, mid-card battles going on. But you also have, it's I had a brain fart there for a second, but it's age. I'm old.
Yeah, it is. Your Geritol's wearing off.
Hey, F you all. I'm 200 pounds. I'm lighter than I was when I was in fucking 6th grade.
Wow.
Ooh, you can shop in the Husky section again.
I wasn't 200 pounds in 6th grade, but I think I was heading that way in 6th grade.
Are you able to shop in the Husky section again?
Dude, I'm a size 36, an XL shirt. Size 36 belt from a size 54 with I would get a 54 and poke an extra hole in,
All right. Well, we better end this because we're getting a private party celebration right now on Collision.
Okay. One thing I wanted to quick mention before we go up. Again, boys. Why does he have this stuff? Why?
I don't know. Anyway, John, go ahead.
Real quick. 11 o'clock tonight. For those who stay up late and are like me and watch everything wrestling, GCW is having their first ever show from Hawaii.
Nice.
So GCW is all over the map, and I just thought it was very cool that for their first time that they are actually venturing to Hawaii to put on a show, and it's a decent card. So if you happen to be up late and have Triller Plus,
finger food.
Check out
finger food.
Deb and this.
Good for them.
That and this. Oh, he's gonna keep us all.
All right. John, where can people find you?
You can find me.
I know what you're saying, Mike. Hold your tongue.
Yes.
Oh my God! Stop it.
Anyhow, I am.
What? What'd you say? I didn't hear you.
Put your ear back on. I am at Twisted Metal Fab on the Instagram and the Twitter machine. And of course, keep up with the exploits of the most dangerous weapon in all professional wrestling. I'm, of course, talking about the Ass Kicker 9000, AK9K, as it's better known as. And you can follow him on Instagram at Ass Kicker 9K.
I told you guys that this is real WWE collectibles, right? This is Rey Mysterio's eye from that eyeball.
Oh my God! Stop it!
This is Mankind's bruised kidney. I actually have it. I paid a lot of money for that.
He's at Mongrovian Mike. You can find him everywhere. And I'm at That's So Debonair on Twitter and Instagram. And go ahead and click the link.
You gotta have heart.
Thank you for watching. Have a good night.